Yo guys, what is good? It's your favorite Supreme Leader, Cameron. And today, obviously, we will bring you a review of Resident Evil 3. But before we do, I'd really appreciate if you guys could hit that like and subscribe button, as well as commenting down below Resident Evil 3. Also, if you guys want to check out my streams, I'm streaming this game a lot. So if you want us to watch that, make sure to hit that bell notification so that you know when I'm streaming. And let's get into the video. Now, this is my first Resident Evil's game, and this is the remake. Okay, this is not the original. The original came out in like 1999. This is the 2020 version. It's technically a survival horror game that is mainly focused on the storyline. The combat elements, everything else really takes a second to the storyline, and they did a really good job with it. All these notes and everything that you can find around the place, you can read through. They will give you tips, but a lot of them are just to build lore around the storyline. As you look up Resident Evil, just the entire franchise is all based on store and lore. There's so many theory videos, conspiracy videos about Resident Evil and the actual storyline inside it, and that's why a lot of people like these kinds of games. But if you don't like those kinds of games, this game is not for you, okay? If you really just like the combat elements of games and shooting things, people going through the game or whatever, this is not for you, okay? Even if you do like those survival types games where resources are kind of limited and it's very challenging to go through the whole game, and you kind of have to like finesse a little bit, okay? In this game, a lot of the time the best option is not to fight and just run through, and then you just figure out the storyline. Another huge aspect to this game is the puzzles and all like the little things that you have to do to actually just run through the story. Like, you may go through a few locations a couple of times before you find the item that you need to go through the door, and then you have to figure out like the perfect little puzzle solving sequence to actually be able to get to where you want to go. And that means that this game can take a while, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Now, my opinion on the gameplay is that I think a lot of the action scenes they're kind of really difficult, and a lot of that's because it's a bit glitchy. Like, a lot of things, like the movement in the game is like, I don't know, your player kind of moves, it feels kind of weird to move, to be honest. A lot of the times there's like speed ramps in the aiming or whatever. Your player does move really slow a lot of the time, and the health system is interesting. I do kind of like it. The more damage you get, the slower you move, which is good for this kind of survival horror game. But to be honest, it doesn't give me the nicest gameplay experience, as well as I found that a lot of the time the zombies will latch onto you even when you've gone past them, or you're about to stab them or whatever, and then they're just not automatically latch onto you. And a lot of the time those animations can be very glitchy, especially with some of the bigger type monsters, as you can see right here. Now, we're going to rate this game in a few different categories. So obviously we're first off going to start with story. Now, we're going to give this game a 9 out of 10 for the story. The story is okay. I reckon if you played all the other Resident Evil's games, it could go up to a 10. Okay, if you've played the other Resident Evil's games, it might make a little more sense. But to me, as someone that doesn't really get what's going on, I started to get it more as I went throughout the story. But it's definitely a very story-oriented game, and you definitely do begin to enjoy the story, okay? A lot of the time, the less you think about the gameplay and the more you think about like what you're actually doing, it does make it a little bit more fun. Now, for the setting and graphics, we're gonna rate this like probably an 8 out of 10. The graphics are pretty good. They're not the best, okay? Definitely a long way to improve on the graphics. I don't know, there was a lot of things that look kind of cool and a lot of things that just simply don't. But the thing that really annoyed me about the setting is that, like, there's a lot of cars and everything, and like things that you look like you should be able to walk over, but they're just invisible walls. And I had to put this in the same category as graphics because, like, I don't know, to me the whole visual appeal is the graphics, and like that kind of just frustrates me when something looks okay, but then it just looks glitchy. Like, it just acts glitchy. So that's why I'm putting them in the same category. Graphics alone is probably like a solid 9. As I said, there's definitely a long way to improve, but I'm bringing it down to an 8 just because like some of the graphics aren't practical. Like, there's no point of having something there, and it just the physics don't match up with the actual what you're seeing. Now, next we're going for combat, so like the actual gameplay mechanics or whatever. I'm rating this a 4 out of 10, okay? Now, there was just a few instances that really frustrated me when you're fighting these giant swamp monsters or whatever they're called. It is the most frustrating thing because you can get in front of them, like behind them, sorry, so they shouldn't be able to see you. but instead they turn 360 in 0.001 seconds, even though they can barely walk properly, and they eat you. So that's really annoying. And just some of the times the zombies, as I said, they just grab you instantly, and it's really frustrating. All the gun mechanics work fine. Like, there's nothing crazy towards like the actual like shooting gameplay or whatever. It's really what it is. It is what it is. But like the thing is that it just frustrates me so how you can put 12 bullets in a zombie and they just still don't die. Yeah, it is what it is. I guess it makes the game a lot harder, a lot more challenging. So there's that. Now, my overall rating on this game is purely based on how much fun I personally is having on the game, and I'm rating that a 6 out of 10. It's more fun than NBA 2K right now for me, considering that's all I've been playing. However, if you like the storyline aspects of games more, then maybe you might prefer this game, especially if you've played the other Resident Evil game. It's a pretty decent game in terms of everything else. It's just the kind of style of game that I don't really like, to be honest. I think it requires a very niche audience of people that like that horror survival storyline games. And if you like that kind of stuff, solving puzzles, I think this is a good game for you. But for the average person that probably prefers a bit of a Call of Duty style game, or like a sports game, or something like along those lines, if you prefer playing Fortnite, okay, like Fortnite's your favorite game, Call of Duty second, all those kinds of games, you're probably not gonna enjoy this game too much. Even if you do like Skyrim and stuff, to be honest, I wouldn't put this on the same level as Skyrim. It's not an open world, which is it forces you into the story more. Like with games like Skyrim, Fallout, all those kind of games, you can kind of do whatever you want, but with this game, it's very forceful. You have to do this. You don't have any options. You go through this path and everything else is blocked off. But as I said, if you like that kind of stuff, then this is your kind of game. Either way, that's the end of the video. I hope this video helps you guys choose if you guys wanted to buy this game or not. And if it did, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'm out. See ya.